everyone, welcome to this Bintian practice where we will be exploring inversions. An inversion is any pose where your head is below your heart. And when we think of inversions, we usually think of headstand or handstand, but we are actually not going to do either of those poses today. We're going to be coming into this practice with a sense of curiosity towards other inversions that we may practice daily and we just don't realize it. So today we will be using one block. You may need two blocks if you want them for Warrior 3 or Pyramid Pose today. So let's get started. So we're going to get started today in our Child's Pose. So in your Child's Pose, your knees can be together or apart. So if you've had any trouble in your lower back recently, having your knees together is beneficial. But if you want to open up through your hips, opening the knees out to the sides is good. And then bringing those big toes together to touch. You can bring your arms overhead, or you can bring them back towards your heels with your palms face up. So whatever feels good for you today. Bringing your forehead to rest onto the mat. And just taking some time to create space for yourself. Our mats are a sacred place for us. It's a place where we can come and let go of the things we need to release. They're also a place where we can come and feel empowered by looking inward and realizing our strength and our potential. So taking some time to really settle into your mat, into this practice, allowing anything from the outside world to just fall away. As we bring ourselves fully here. And as we move through inversions on our mat today, maybe you would like to come into a mantra, an affirmation, an intention for your practice. When we talk about inversions, there can be fear associated with inversions. People normally think that headstand and handstands are the only inversions in our yoga practice, but that's not true. Inversions are anywhere where our head is below our heart. And so if this practice has started to induce any kind of fear or any kind of anxiety, maybe taking some time to think of a mantra that works for you today. Maybe something like, I embrace fear, or I move with curiosity. And as we move through the practice, you can come back to this affirmation, these words of comfort to help you come back into your breath, into your body. And as you inhale, start to lift your head off of the mat. We're going to come up into our tabletop position so that your knees come underneath your hips. And we're going to come into our first inversion, which is called rabbit pose. It's a very gentle inversion. So we're going to take the crown of our head and bring it down towards the mat. And you can start to walk your face in towards your knees. And then start to reach towards your heels. The tops of the feet are flat onto the mat. Your hips are lifted. And you can start to relax your shoulders. And just notice the sensations you're feeling here. You may feel some heaviness in your head from the new blood coming into your brain. And that's one of the great benefits of inversions, is that we get new oxygenated blood into the brain, helping to release fatigue. Taking another round of breath here. And start to bring your hands back in line with your ears as we press into them. Gently lift your head off of the ground. Taking your time here. And then we'll bring our hands underneath our shoulders. We're going to come into thread the needle. So as you inhale, right arm reaches straight up to the sky, maybe looking up. And as we exhale, thread that hand through and release the top of the shoulders to the mat. Right ear releases down to the mat, and you can press into your left hand, or you can walk that left hand forward. You can also wrap that left hand around your back if you want a little more opening here. And you can play within these poses, allowing yourself to feel each variation and then coming to the variation that feels good for your body today. And we'll start to unwind, lift back up into your tabletop, and we'll move to the other side. Left hand reaches up. Exhale, thread it through, bringing that hand behind the right wrist, releasing the left ear down. And either walking the right hand forward, pressing into the hand, or wrapping the arm around the back. Breathing fully and deeply into the belly, into the lungs, and fully releasing the belly button back towards the spine. And unwinding here, coming back up into your tabletop again. From here, we'll move through a couple cat-cows, just warming up the spine. As you inhale, lift and lengthen the tailbone, look up, and exhale, round through the spine. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, round through. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, round through. Neutral spine, we'll walk the hands slightly forward, creating an angle in the arms. Spread wide through your fingers as you tuck your toes, lift your hips, and come into your downward facing dog. And downward facing dog is an inversion. Our head is below our heart here. So you can feel that blood flow changing. And you can pedal your feet back and forth. You can move your hips from side to side. Do what you normally do in your downward facing dog. Feeling that tailbone lift up towards the sky. And we'll move into downward facing dog waves. So we're going to start by slightly bending in the knees. Bring your chin towards your chest and then roll forward like you're coming into a plank. And then pull your heels back as we roll back into our downward facing dog. So tuck the chin and roll forward. And then lengthen the crown of the head forward. And then pull the heels back. And pull the hips back, lengthen through the arms. We'll do this one more time. Tucking the chin, rolling forward, then reaching the crown of the head forward. Pull the heels back and come back into your downward facing dog. Looking in between your hands, walk the feet up to meet the hands. Inhale, lift halfway into your flat back. As we exhale, come into your forward fold. Again, forward folds are an inversion here. So pulling the heels back so that you have a balanced weight in between the balls and the heels of your feet. You can place your hands on the ground, or you can grab opposite elbows and gently sway from side to side. And this is an inversion that you can do anytime, anywhere. So if you are sitting at a desk for a long period of time, or you've been driving for a while, and you just want to stretch and open up, or you've been feeling really tired and groggy in the morning, this is a great pose to do to feel re-energized. And as you exhale, release your hands down. As we inhale, we're going to have a slight bend in the knees as we lift halfway up again. And on your exhale, we're going to come into what's called Padangusthasana, or hand to big toe pose. So you're going to take your first two fingers and your thumb and wrap them around your big toes. So you can widen your stance a little more here if you want. And as we inhale, lifting halfway. And as you exhale, we're going to forward fold again, bringing your elbows out to the sides like diamonds or elephant ears. Releasing the crown of your head down towards the ground. You can keep that slight bend in your knees. And every inhale, bringing the crown of your head towards the ground. Every exhale, thinking about lengthening through the back of your knees. And taking 2 more rounds of breath here. And releasing your yogi toe grip, we're going to lift halfway up into your flat back. As you exhale, plant your hands, step back into your plank. Lower all the way down onto your belly, releasing the tops of the feet to the mat. As we inhale, come up into your cobra pose. Shoulders roll down to the back and away from the ears. As we exhale, release down, tuck the toes, lift the hips, come into your inversion of downward facing dog. Looking in between your hands, walking up. Inhale, lift halfway. This time, as we exhale, we're going to come into Padangusthasana. And so we're going to take our palms face up and slide them underneath your feet so that your toes are touching your wrists. And you can move your toes back and forth here, giving your wrists a nice massage. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. And you may notice that your knees bend a little more in this pose, and that's okay. Your hands are a little closer to the ground. Elbows are out to the sides again, just like they were in the first pose, Padangusthasana. And this is a great counterbalance stretch to all of our downward facing dogs, planks, really anywhere where we're putting pressure on the wrists. It's a great pose to release that. One more big breath in and out. Releasing your hands from underneath your feet. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, plant your hands onto the ground. Step back into your plank. We're going to lower all the way onto the belly again. Inhale into your cobra. Elbows are tight to the sides. Exhale, release down. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Downward facing dog. Good. Looking up, walking the feet up. Inhale, lift halfway, and exhale, forward fold. Good. Inhale, arms rise up and overhead, and exhale, hands to heart center. From here, we're just going to step back into our warrior one. So you're going to step that left foot back, have a heel to heel alignment in your feet. Back foot is at a 45-degree angle. You can place your hands onto your hips. Feel that left hip forward. to meet the right, slight bend in the front knee, and then arms come up and overhead. Feeling the strength of this warrior pose in our bodies. And then we're going to interlace our fingers behind our backs. And if you have any shoulder issues going on right now, you can bring your hands to opposite elbows. As we inhale, start to look up. And as you exhale, we're going to fold onto the inside of the right leg, coming into your humble warrior. And you guessed it, this is also an inversion. This is also a great shoulder opener. If your arms are up and over the head, your hands are back behind your back, this is also great for core strengthening. And as we inhale, we'll start to lift halfway up. And if your hands are bound, you can keep them that way. You can also keep your hands on opposite elbows. We're going to move up into our warrior 3 pose. So start to lift that left leg up and back behind you. Heel pulls back, crown of the head reaches forward. If you want, you can also grab your blocks and place your hands on your blocks here. You can release your hands and come into airplane variation. And as you exhale, release your left foot back behind you. Both feet are pointing forward. We're going to come into pyramid pose. So you can also heel toe that right foot out to the side a little bit, giving yourself more space and a stable base. You can place your hands onto your hips. You can also grab opposite elbows or come into hidden prayer here with your palms touching together. As you inhale, look up, open the heart to the sky. And as you exhale, we're going to fold over the right leg. So as we fold, notice how your hips change. And start to adjust them. So the left hip pulls forward, right hip pulls slightly back, feeling that length and space all throughout your right leg. And placing your hands on the ground if they aren't already there, we're going to come up into our standing splits. So you're going to start to lift that left leg up and back, toes are pointed, just like in our warrior 3 where our back leg is behind us, but instead of the heel pulling back and coming into a flexed foot, we're coming into a pointed toe. And as you inhale, crown the head reaches towards the ground. As you exhale, forward fold. And this is just like a forward fold, so it is an inversion, except we are balancing on one leg instead of two. And as you exhale, left foot comes forward to meet the right, coming into your full forward fold. Inhale, arms rise up and overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Come back into our warrior 1 on the other side. So right leg comes back this time. Feeling that right hip pull forward to meet the left. Back toes are at that angle. And then arms come up to frame the ears. Palms are facing each other. And then soften those shoulders down. If you feel like you are banana backing here, putting a lot of pressure on your lower back, think about slightly pulling that tailbone down towards the earth. And then hands come together behind you, whether you're grabbing opposite elbows or interlacing the fingers together. Inhale, look up, and exhale, start to fold onto the inside of your left leg, coming into your humble warrior. Taking this time to surrender, to lay down the things that no longer serve you. And as you inhale, start to come halfway up and move into your warrior 3, whatever variation you went into on the other side. Take 2 more rounds of breath here, focusing on this moment. Maybe coming into your affirmation or your mantra. And as you exhale, start to release that right foot down. And moving into our pyramid pose, lengthening through your front leg, maybe heel toeing that front foot to the side a little more. As we inhale, look up. And as you exhale, folding over that left leg, coming into whatever variation with your hands that you did on the other side. Whether you come into your hidden prayer, grabbing opposite elbows, or bring your hands onto the ground. And inversions help with our lymph flow. So those toxins that are in the body, it helps our body to get rid of those toxins, that bacteria. And as we inhale, start to release those hands down and lift that right leg up and back, coming into your standing balancing pose of standing splits. Every exhale, just releasing a little deeper into this fold. Your back leg doesn't have to be high here. Your right hip bone is facing towards the ground. And as you exhale, releasing that right foot down, coming into your forward fold. Inhale, arms rise up and overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Widen your stance. Bring your toes to point towards the corners of your mat. We're going to come into Malasana as our first pose for our yin practice. So as you inhale, lift and lengthen through the crown of your head. And as you exhale, start to come down into your yogi squat. Now here, you can stay like this. You can also take a block and sit on your block. You can also stack your blocks and sit on 2 blocks if you'd like. Now this is our yin practice, so we are holding this pose. So if you feel any pain in any variation of this pose, please start to back off and move into a different variation. And in yin, we start to find that variation that we can hold. We start to settle into the pose. We try to hold the pose with as much stillness as possible. Five more rounds of breath here. Pulling your heart towards your thumbs so you can open up the lungs for more beautiful breath. And when you're ready, you can start to bring your hands down towards the ground. If you have a block underneath of you, release that block. And we're going to keep this block with us as we come down onto our seat, because we're going to move into bridge pose now. We're going to use this block with our bridge. So start to make your way onto your back and lift your hips to slide that block underneath your sacrum, that bony part at the base of your spine. We have a few variations we can take here in this bridge. You can stay right here. You can also start to lengthen your legs forwards. You can also start to lengthen your arms up and overhead. So again, you can play with these variations. And this helps to create body awareness, taking the time to notice what feels right in our body for today. And that may not be the same thing that feels right in our body tomorrow or the day after. Just taking some time to notice our bodies today and how they move, how they feel within this space. And then starting to settle in. You can have a soft gaze, or you can close your eyes here. And as we hold these poses throughout this practice, taking some time to create awareness around our thoughts as well. What is it that I am thinking when I give myself the space to notice, to slow down? And as you notice your thoughts, knowing that our thoughts are this endless chatter of our minds, and that all of our thoughts are not necessarily true. Taking some time to notice if these are thoughts that move through your mind often. Maybe you're thinking some of the same things that you've thought for years. Maybe this is your first time bringing awareness to these thoughts. And if you notice that a thought is negative or not helpful to you, taking some time to explore, seeing, is this something that I tell myself off of the mat as well? And just like clouds floating in the sky, start to release your attachment to that thought. And then maybe moving on to a new thought. And repeating the process. On your next inhale, you start to gently bend in the knees. If your arms are up and overhead, start to release them back down to your sides. And we're going to lift up, pressing into the soles of your feet, releasing that block, and coming into some gentle twisting. So we're going to lengthen the left leg long again. Bring your right knee into your chest. And as you exhale, release the right knee to the outside of the left hip. Right arm comes out to the side. You can come into a cactus arm or lengthen it out into a T shape with your left hand either out on the other side or onto your right leg, maybe onto your belly to help you feel your breath. Head can be straight or looking towards your right fingertips as we come into our supine twist. So our bridge pose is another inversion that we have in our practice. And twisting after doing poses like bridge, which is an inversion, as well as a heart opener or a back bend, helps us to release that pressure that we can feel in our lower back. As we move through this practice of inversions, what was it that you noticed about your thinking process towards these inversions? Were you surprised that there were inversions other than handstand and headstand? On your next exhale, you can start to Slowly bring your feet back down to the ground. Release your block and come into your Shavasana, your final pose of this practice. Bring your feet to the corners of the mat, gently releasing your ankles. Softening through the muscles of your legs. Releasing the lower back. Feeling the breath come in and out to the body deeply and fully. Feeling it slow down. As we soften the shoulders and release the muscles in the arms. Let go of the wrists, slightly curl the fingers. Feeling the back of the neck become long as we release the back of the head, feeling heaviness towards the mat. Softening through the muscles of the face. And taking this time to absorb all the benefits of our beautiful practice. On your next inhale, deepen your breath. Bring your awareness outside of your body. Breathing in your surroundings. And starting to gently move through your fingers and your toes. Bending in your knees. And rolling over to one side. When you're ready, coming up into your comfortable seated position with your eyes closed and your hands at heart center. Thank you for sharing in this practice today. Inversions help us to see things from a new perspective, looking at our thoughts, at our bodies, seeing how we move through challenges on the mat so that we can move through challenges off of the mat a little easier. Thank you for sharing in this practice today. The light within me honors and sees the light within you. Namaste.